This leadership skill will change your life forever. Start today. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly lead, inspire, and succeed, while others struggle to make an impact? What's the secret behind true leadership, the kind that transforms not only your life, but the lives of everyone around you? What if I told you that there's one skill, one simple shift in mindset that could change everything for you forever? Today, I'm going to share that skill with you. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll know how to harness it and your life will never be the same. Leadership. The foundation of leadership. What comes to your mind when you hear that word? For many, it brings up images of powerful CEOs, famous political figures, or successful entrepreneurs. But here's the truth. Leadership isn't reserved for the elite few. It's something that anyone, at any stage in life, can develop. Leadership isn't about titles or authority. It's about influence. It's about how you inspire others, guide them, and create positive change, even in the smallest of moments. Let me share a story with you. It's about a young man named Andrew. Andrew wasn't born into wealth, and he didn't have a famous last name. He wasn't the most charismatic person in the room, but what Andrew had was something far more valuable. He had the ability to lead by example. He worked tirelessly at his local community center. No one told him to, no one asked him to do it. It was something he chose. He didn't seek the spotlight. He didn't even expect a thank you. What mattered to Andrew was making a difference in his community. He was passionate. He was committed. He was authentic. You would use the term authentic. And over time, something remarkable happened. Others noticed. They saw his dedication and started to follow his lead. Andrew didn't command respect. He earned it. His quiet leadership transformed the entire community. It wasn't about power, it was about action. As John Quincy Adams once said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. It's not about your title, it's about what you do and how you inspire others to do the same. Leadership is about making a difference, no matter how big or small. Now let's talk about a skill that will change everything. The one leadership skill that can completely transform the way you lead. It's called emotional intelligence. Sounds fancy, right? But let's break it down. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, control, and express your own emotions, and to recognize and influence the emotions of others. Sounds simple enough, right? But trust me, it's incredibly powerful. Leaders who have emotional intelligence can connect with people on a deeper level. They build trust. They resolve conflicts. They inspire loyalty. And they do it all by being in tune with the emotions around them. Think about someone like Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela could have come out and demanded justice. He could have sought revenge, held grudges, and stirred up anger. But he didn't. Instead, he led with emotional intelligence. He understood the fears, frustrations, and hopes of both sides, and he used that understanding to build a path toward reconciliation. He didn't just lead with his mind, he led with his heart. He connected with people on an emotional level, and that's what made him one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. He didn't just change his country, he changed the world. What would happen if you learned to control your emotions and connect more deeply with the people around you? Imagine how much more effective you would be in leading your team, your friends, or even your family. How much trust could you build? How much more influence could you have? Emotional intelligence isn't just a leadership tool, it's a life tool. The more emotionally intelligent you are, the more you can understand, influence, and connect with the people around you. And that's how you make a difference. Real-life application of leadership. Now let's bring it back to everyday life. You don't have to be a world leader to practice emotional intelligence. Look at your own life. How often do you encounter situations where emotions are running high? Maybe it's a disagreement with a colleague, a misunderstanding with a friend, or a stressful family gathering. The difference between a good leader and a great leader is knowing how to manage your own emotions in those moments and help others manage theirs. Think about it. How many times have you been in a tense situation where someone could have diffused it with just a little empathy? Maybe a simple, I understand where you're coming from, or I hear you. Let's find a solution together. Those words, those actions can change everything. That's the power of emotional intelligence. So here's your challenge. Take a moment today to reflect on your own leadership abilities. How can you be more emotionally intelligent in your interactions? How can you lead by example, even in small moments? Whether it's in your personal relationships, at work, or in your community, leadership is something you can practice every day. Start with one small thing. Listen more, show empathy, control your emotions in tough situations. And remember, you don't need a title to be a leader. You just need the heart and the courage to inspire others. Leadership is not about power, it's about influence. And influence begins with emotional intelligence. So let's take a step toward becoming the kind of leaders who inspire change, who build connections, and who make the world a better place, one action at a time. Today I want to talk about what makes great leaders. Leaders who inspire us, motivate us, and change the world. Leadership isn't just about having a title or a position. It's about something deeper, something that comes from within. It's about trust, integrity, and the courage to act, even when fear is standing in your way. So let's dive into this and explore the heart of leadership. Section 4, building trust and leading by example. You've probably heard the saying, leadership isn't just about telling people what to do. It's true. Leadership is about showing people how it's done. It's about being the example, leading with integrity, and building trust. Without trust, leadership doesn't work. You can't inspire or guide others if they don't trust you. Think about it. What happens when a leader says one thing but does something completely different? People notice. They start to question, and that trust erodes. A true leader doesn't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. They do what they say even when it's tough. Here's where integrity comes in. It's about making the right decisions even when no one's watching. It's about staying true to your values no matter how hard it gets. And the best part? This kind of leadership doesn't require a podium or a microphone. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments, in the everyday actions, where true leadership shines. Take a moment to think about Malala Yousafzai. Malala, a young girl from Pakistan, was shot for speaking out about the importance of girls' education. Can you imagine that? The courage it takes to speak your truth, even when it could cost you everything? But that's exactly what she did. After being attacked, she didn't back down. She didn't shrink in fear. Instead, she stood taller than ever, using her voice to advocate for girls all over the world. Her leadership wasn't about having a fancy title or delivering speeches. It was about setting an example of courage, conviction, and integrity. And that example inspired millions of people to act. She showed us that leadership isn't just about leading others, it's about leading by example. Section 5, the courage to act in the face of fear. Now let's talk about fear. If you've ever wanted to step up or take action in your life but held back because of fear, you're not alone. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to leadership. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being told no. But here's the truth. Fear is a part of life. Everyone feels it. The difference is some people act despite the fear. They don't let it stop them from moving forward. That's what real courage is. Taking action in spite of fear. It's not about not feeling afraid. It's about what you do when fear shows up. Do you freeze? Do you wait for the fear to go away? Or do you keep moving forward? Knowing that the fear is just a sign that you're stepping into something new, something bigger. Let's take a moment to reflect on our own lives. Think back to a time when you were paralyzed by fear. Maybe it was that time you hesitated to speak up in a meeting, or maybe you were scared to take a risk in your career. What would have happened if you had taken that step forward anyway? What would have changed in your life? Now, think about a challenge you're facing today, whether it's something in your career or relationship or even personal growth. Ask yourself, what if I acted as though fear didn't exist? Imagine what you could accomplish if you took that step forward, even when you didn't have all the answers. Think about the growth, the lessons, and the opportunities you might be missing out on just because of fear. What would happen if you acted in spite of it? The only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment. Think about that for a second. The only limit is your imagination. The beliefs you have about what's possible and your commitment to push forward no matter how many fears or obstacles you face along the way. So here's my challenge to you today. Start leading in your own life, starting right now. Show up with integrity, lead by example, and when fear knocks at your door, answer it with action. The world needs leaders. The world needs you. You don't need a title or a position. You just need the courage to step up and do what you know is right, even when it's hard. Think about what could happen if you made that decision today. What impact could you have, not just on your life, but on the lives of those around you? Take that step. Lead with integrity. And remember, true leadership is built on trust, courage, and a willingness to act in the face of fear. Let's make this world a better place, one bold step at a time. Click the subscription link and be sure to tune in next Thursday. And encourage growth and learning. Great leaders are always learning. And I'm not just talking about book knowledge or the latest industry trends. I'm talking about constantly evolving as a person. Leadership isn't a fixed title or a destination that you can reach and then coast. No, leadership is a journey that doesn't end the moment you get to the top. In fact, the moment you stop growing is the moment you stop leading. Think about it. Leadership at its core is about influence. It's about guiding others toward a vision. But how can you inspire others if you're not growing and learning yourself? Imagine trying to lead a group of people through a jungle with only a flashlight that's running out of batteries. It won't take long before you're stumbling in the dark, and your team will start to feel it. The best leaders know that learning is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. It's about actively seeking out new experiences, constantly challenging yourself and embracing the uncomfortable. Whether that's reading books, trying new things, or simply listening to people around you. A leader who stops seeking growth becomes stagnant. They stop being a source of inspiration and start becoming someone who merely manages things. Look at someone like Steve Jobs. Steve didn't build Apple by just following the status quo. He was always learning, always adapting. His journey was full of twists and turns. He wasn't afraid to pivot, fail, or start over. He kept asking himself, how can we do better? How can we innovate? How can we make the world a little bit better with what we're doing? Jobs wasn't born with all the answers. In fact, he failed many times before he found the success we associate with his name today. But he never stopped learning, never stopped evolving. That relentless pursuit of excellence, that refusal to accept mediocrity, that's what set him apart. And let's be honest, you don't have to be a billionaire tech mogul to lead. You can be a leader in your own life. Maybe you're leading a team at work or guiding your family or even just leading yourself on the journey to personal growth. The process is the same. You have to be open to learning, to change, and to growing in ways that may be uncomfortable. Because true growth rarely comes without discomfort. Now, maybe you're wondering, how can I start this journey of growth? Where do I even begin? Here's the thing. Growth doesn't need to be overwhelming. It starts small. Maybe it's reading a new book that challenges your way of thinking. Maybe it's signing up for a course or taking on a new project at work. Maybe it's simply listening to people who see the world differently from you. Start with one step and then take another. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today that will help me grow? Because growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens through daily decisions, small steps that compound over time. Think about it this way. Every time you choose to learn, you're investing in yourself. And the returns on that investment, they're massive. Let's talk about a real everyday example. Take someone like Oprah Winfrey. Oprah is one of the most influential people in the world, but it wasn't always like that. She didn't start with all the answers. She faced rejection, criticism, and failure. But she kept growing. She learned from every experience, whether it was on her path to becoming a talk show host or later when she took on media ownership. Oprah knew that leadership was about more than just being in front of the camera. It was about being in the trenches, learning from her mistakes, and constantly striving for better. And don't forget, learning isn't just about gaining new knowledge, it's about unlearning too. Sometimes we grow by letting go of old habits, outdated beliefs, or limiting mindsets. Sometimes the best leaders are the ones who can step back and say, what I knew before no longer serves me. It's time to evolve. So whether you're leading a company, a project, or just yourself, remember this. Growth is a never-ending process. If you're not growing, you're not leading. True leadership is about being humble enough to recognize that there's always room for improvement and wise enough to actively seek that growth. And here's the best part. You don't have to be perfect to be a great leader. No one is. The beauty of leadership is that it's all about progress, not perfection. It's about taking each day as an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to become the best version of yourself. The more you grow, the more you'll be able to inspire others to grow with you. That's how you build something truly great. So, as you go through your own journey, keep asking yourself, what's my next step? Embrace the discomfort of growth and remember that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Because in the end, leadership is not about being the smartest or the most successful. It's about being the one who keeps learning, keeps growing, and keeps inspiring others to do the same. Now, if you want to truly become the leader you're meant to be, Make that commitment today. Start small, keep learning, keep growing, because the world needs leaders who are always evolving, always seeking excellence. And that leader could be you. Keep pushing forward and watch how you'll change the world around you. Take that first step right now. What's one thing you can learn today to grow as a leader? Whether it's picking up a new book, listening to someone new, or simply being open to a different perspective, make it happen. The journey of leadership starts with you. Keep moving forward. And remember, great leaders never stop learning. Here's the truth. The leadership skill that can change your life is within your grasp right now. It doesn't require a special talent or years of experience. It requires a shift in mindset and a commitment to growth. You have the power to inspire, to lead, and to make a lasting impact. It starts with you today. I challenge you to take one step today, whether it's building your emotional intelligence, acting despite fear, or leading by example. Make that commitment. Change doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with small, consistent actions. And before long, you'll realize this leadership skill, this one choice, really will change your life forever.